Go back a slide. Okay, and welcome everyone to the Beginner's Guide to G Suite. This is a rerun of a fabulous series that was put out by the global GEG team. And because a lot of it happened at 2 a.m. and I didn't attend for Aussies, we decided to run it again in a little bit easier, accessible time zone, Australia, New Zealand, and Asian countries. So welcome everyone, and let's get started. So before we start, if you are not au fait with this special custom that Australians have, we acknowledge country before we start an event, whether it's in face-to-face or whether it is a virtual event like this. So before we begin, I'd like to begin with this acknowledgement of country, which is a way that all Australians can show respect for the culture, the heritage and ongoing relationship that the First Nation people have with country. We acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land and show our respect for the elders, past and present, who have loved and cared for this land for thousands of years. So welcome everyone, and we'd like to introduce ourselves, Maria and I. So Maria, if you go to the next slide, and introduce yourself to us.
Hi everyone, I'm Maria Etheridge from Lakes Entrance Primary. I'm the STEM teacher for right across all grades from Prep to Year 6. I am also the Google leader, GEG, Google Education Group leader for both Lakes Entrance and Bairnsdale, and also Global GEG leader. I'm a certified trainer and certified innovator.
Okay, thank you, Maria. And myself, I'm a digital learning mentor in New South Wales in Australia. I'm a GEG leader of Mid-North Coast in Australia. There's my Twitter handle. We'll drop them in the chat very soon. I'm a Google for Education certified trainer and innovator, and that's where I met Maria and Sharon Cooper. So here we are, the Sydney 19 buddies. I'm also a co-founder of Global GEG. So we welcome you everyone, and on the next slide I think we're up to, we've found this really helpful. This is not a set of rules, you know, if you don't follow these rules you're out. It's not that kind of an invitation, but what we are, and of course I've put the wrong slide on there, never mind Maria, that's my fault. So will I get it there? Oh yeah, no, just refresh again. Refresh Maria, I've got it right, but I'll read it out anyway. Yeah. So what we want is everyone's voices to be heard and everyone's chat to be seen. So what we're asking people to do is share the air. We'd like people to use names and indicate if you've got a question, just, you know, put your hand up, and if we can't see you because you're off the screen now, you might have to turn your mic on so we can hear you. But we're trying to keep this as casual as possible and be able to give people an opportunity to have that chance to speak as well. We assume the best intentions. We want to keep the conversation on topic and the chat on topic, and we are committed to collaborate safely and consider each other in the audience. So Maria has some great tips and etiquette for Google Meet if you're new to it. So if you move on to the next slide, get rid of that one because it's wrong. Yep. So we'll leave that agenda there while Maria's talking.
Sorry, we're going to have to work with it. Okay, so those that are unfamiliar with a Google Meet environment, this is their first time. Sorry, Leslie.
No, that's okay. So
just going through a few etiquette. You can see down the bottom that there is a little microphone. You can cross it out to mute yourself, or you can use Control D or Command D if you're Mac to just mute and unmute yourself very quickly. Also, you will see along the bottom bar, you will see a raise hand icon. This is a fairly new addition with Google Meet. But you could also just raise your hand in your camera screen if you like as well, just to let us know if you've got a question to ask. Anything else you think we need to go over, Leslie?
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. We'll work it out as we go along. So what I want to do now is outline our goals or our agenda. We want to keep this under 60 minutes, so it's going to sound as if it's a bit fast-paced, but in any good flipped learning environment, the participants, students or teachers have looked at the resource before we have come together to discuss it. So we're trying to keep in under 60 minutes. We're going to do some introductions. Maria's going to outline what is a GEG, because perhaps some of you in the group don't quite understand what we're talking about, and we want to enlighten you there. And I'll give you an idea of what global GEG is. And then we're going to dive into the content that may have raised questions when you watched the Google Chrome video and the Google Drive video. So we're going to try and spend more of our time there. So if we go on to the next slide, I think, Maria, you might kick us off with what the heck is GEG?
Okay, GEG stands for Google Education Group. It is basically a network, a way to network with like-minded individuals in regards to Google for education tools primarily, however, with an EdTech focus generally. So tools that will work either alongside or connect in with Google products.
Sounds really good. Go on to the next slide and just show people where. I just took a screenshot of this, and these markers indicate where the GEGs are located, and these are run by volunteer educators. And you can see in Australia there are 10, and in New Zealand there's 1. But that one in New Zealand was a very powerful group during the real isolation time. They really kicked into action there. It was really exciting to see. So you can see all the GEGs are scattered all across the world. So if you go to the next slide, and then so global GEG, we are innovators, the 6 of us are innovators from 2019, and we kept in touch all the way through the 2019 time as we became innovators in Sydney and London and New York and Singapore, and we kept coming back together, and we ended up forming a group, and we just wanted to help each other become GEG leaders and become better at what we were doing. And each of us started up a GEG in our local area in UK, US and Australia and Colombia. And then we realised that we were helping other people at the same time, and other people were getting on board. And then, of course, COVID hit, and everyone wanted help from each other. And we ended up saying, well, let's just do something combined. So we called ourselves GEG Global, or Global GEG, and we asked Google, would they allow us to have a logo and have that brand name. So if you go back one slide, if you can, Maria, you can have a look that Google not only recognised the fact that we were supporting people around the world, but because we were all over the world, they couldn't put a location on a map, so they popped us down the left-hand corner there in the ocean, and gave us our own pin. So that was really exciting. So we're coming from a volunteer group, and here we are to support you. So if we go on to, let's get on to the summer series. So we have, as I said, global GEG. It's really, you really have to put your seatbelt on when you are part of global GEG, and I think the others on board here, our wonderful Mel and Fiona, are our global GEG buddies. Like on Monday, one Monday in December, the first week in December, I think, or no, the middle of December, someone said, let's do a beginner suite series for teachers who are new to the G Suite, and by Friday it was published. So all these videos were published. So because it's such a great resource, we thought, well, let's do it again for better suited for Aussie time. So that's what we're doing, and we've flipped the learning so you can go and look at those videos, and then we can have this time to ask questions. So it's really a basic guide, an introduction to G Suite for educators who are new to this platform. But, you know, like, honestly, I watched all the videos and I picked up tips that were new and also ideas that I'd forgotten. So, so Maria.
So the first one is we're looking at Google Chrome. This is by Jessica, also part of the Global GEG leader team. In this, you would have, well, if you have not, but there's a video to watch. There's videos for both of the sections. And she goes through everything about Chrome, from logging in, setting it up. There's a lot of information in there. So if you haven't had a look at it now, I really recommend having a look at it after this session, just to give you an idea of how to use Chrome, what it's all about. We will also put in the chat these handles of all these presenters as well.
So I'm just adding that in now. I'm just trying to add that in now. Did you get it in? No, I'll pop it in here now. I'm trying to do double clicks here and it's not working. So I'm just popping in Jess's information there. So if we go to the next slide, oops, I'll move everything along. And let's look at what Jess had for her, how, you know, we've just taken a few screenshots of her video to try and give you a reminder. I always like a reminder.
So everything evolves around Chrome. That is the very foundation of this whole message when it comes to Google Chrome. For me, one of the tips that I forgot about or have not used a lot in my own workflow is grouping the tabs. So I found that as a very handy tip. I liked how you could group the tabs and you could also color those groups of tabs. So it's something that I'm going to try get into my workflow or normal routine practice as well. What about you, Leslie? Was there any tips that you found?
You know, like, and it reminded me when Jess was talking about grouping those tabs, it reminded me that, you know, like when I have like 44 tabs open, I forgot. And it reminded me, I just forgot that you just find the tab that you want to keep and you right click and it closes all the tabs to the right. You don't have to click close, click close, click closed. So I thought, yeah, that's just reminded me of another tip as well. But really the bookmarking, I don't know whether you can see it on the screen there, no, with Maria presenting. But when you have your bookmarking folders, I use those bookmarking folders as a temporary place to house links that I'm going to have meetings with, you know, this morning, this afternoon, tomorrow, next week, and I need somewhere quick to go back and find those links. And when I'm finished, I do a little bit of housekeeping at the end of the month and then clean that bookmarking folder up. So I've got a fresh start for the next month. So have you... yeah, look, I actually started here just putting in that the color coding was great. I didn't yet, I'd forgotten all about that. I color code my folders, but I didn't think of doing the tabs. So just drop in there any questions that you do have about that video that you were watching. Let's have a look at, actually, let's go to the next slide about Jessica's agenda. What did she actually touch on? She did a lot in that time. She was really presented well. So she did, so what else did she do there, Maria?
So everyone was familiar with signing an account, and maybe multiple profiles may be new to some of you, but account signing from those that I know would be a given. The settings perhaps were new for some of you as well. Hands up, who knew that the URL bar is called an omnibox, that is the correct name for it?
I learned that for level 1 and I thought, what are they talking about?
Yeah, it's something I drum into my students, the poor things, so they should be familiar with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Search within a page, a lot of you will probably know that. Opening a tab, maybe new windows is new for some of you.
Okay.
And Yeah, is there any questions on anything on that agenda there?
So is there any questions? Drop it in the chat there. Is there anything you want us to go back over? And we don't know everything. We're good at Googling. We don't know everything, and we'll get back to you if there is a tricky question there. But so if there's anything, hi Camille. So Camille's in here, got me thinking about extensions that you can add and how you can just search for different extensions that may help you. So the extensions, yeah, that's really good. Maria, do you want to take that one about?
Yeah, so with extensions, you go to the Chrome Web Store. And you'll see lots and lots of extensions available to you. Also have a good look on Twitter if you're part of that PLM, because a lot of people will push out extensions that they've trialed and errored, and better for someone else to trial and error rather than you. Also, there was a comment about extension organizing as well. You will notice on the video it spoke about the little puzzle piece, which is an extension organizer that now is bundled with Chrome. You used to have things like extension manager, and I'm trying to think of the other one I used to use for my extensions. Anyway, the task manager, there's quite a few different extension managers around, but you do not need them as much anymore.
No, and I say to my teachers, when people ask me, why do you need extensions, and so what the heck are they? Because people have a very good knowledge of Microsoft Suite. So when you purchase a Microsoft Suite, you get everything. You get all the bells and whistles. You get all of the power of a Word document and all the formula opportunities in Sheets. So you get the whole lot. But when you get when you get the like Google Docs, you find that it probably doesn't have the grunt that you need. So to give it a little bit more, you add an extension. So if you need to find extra features for a Google Doc, you probably find that you need to go into extensions and find that, or for a Google Form, or for a Google Sheet. So
it's just a way of customizing your workspace. So for your different learning needs, different output that you may need or input, that's how you do it, rather than checking all the extensions you would with Microsoft.
So how about we do a waterfall? Wait a minute. No, please explain about the Omnibox. Good question. So can you take that one, please, Maria?
Okay. So I could very quickly show you, actually. Ooh, let's see how we'll go.
Do that. So while you're doing that, I'll explain what we might do next while you organise that. I just learnt this the other day. It's called a Waterfall Chat, I think. And what it is that, when a question is asked, everyone types in their answer but doesn't press enter. Because once you press enter, it's public then. So you type in your answer, and when we say, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go, you press enter and you get a waterfall of answers. So we'll do that in a moment. I want to see what happens, just because I want to see what happens.
Yeah, whether we create a waterfall. So you can now see my whole screen live, well, my second whole screen. And up here, where the URL or address bar, some people may call it, this is actually your Omnibox. So now you can search and you can put URL addresses in there. So it has dual capability now.
So if you open up a new tab, Maria, go beyond that. Yeah, go and open up a new tab. You can actually fine-tune your search by perhaps you want to convert Australian dollars to US dollars. So you type in convert straight away. So it's actually filtering it a lot quicker. So it'll be yes from Oz to USD, and it will do that straight away for you. So just by knowing a few of those extra tips, you can convert, measurement and time. I need time a lot. I find it really difficult, world time. So that's always great. So what we're going to do is a waterfall chat. So if you are using a great extension, type it in, don't press enter, type it in, and get ready to press enter. I'm going to type one in, but I'm not going to press enter yet. I've just lost all mine here, and I just wanted to go back. Okay, I'm going to do this one. Okay, you ready? 3, 2, 1, go. So what have we got? We've got Cami, Loom, Eyedropper, Moat. Look at all these extensions. And they're just sitting at the top on the right-hand side of your Omnibox. So it's really great. I mean, you know, like I've got them listed all along there. These are the ones that I use a lot. I've Wakelet there, and I've got other ones just all lined up there, and my world time, so I know what I'm doing. And it's just great. You don't have to keep typing in and finding something. You don't have to put that information in a document. So those Chrome extensions are really great. So let's see what else. So were there any other questions? While you're talking, I'm just going to go and have a look at the questions that were submitted. See if there's anything else that we can. Extensions, we've just had a look at those. Separate identities. And I think, Mel, you mentioned something there I saw in the chat. I'm going to pick on you right now. And I did the same thing, Mel. Like I didn't really use multiple identities. I have enough trouble with my own. And I didn't use it, but once we were really glued to our screen supporting other teachers and students, I realised I had to have multiple identities. So how did you go with that, Mel?
So originally I never really bothered about the profile things. I just had like my personal and work all on my one Chrome. Like I just put everything there. I like being able to like go from my WhatsApp to my schoolwork and all that sort of thing. But then I realized that, you know, because like we have so many different Gmail accounts and that sort of thing. So I have, I don't know, 4 different accounts, but I mean, like I mainly use like my work one and the personal one for this stuff. The other ones I don't really use as much. So setting up like the profiles for them, it like collects all your history, like all your bookmarks or your extensions for those particular profiles and splits them. So like right now, like I'm not presenting, but like right now in this profile, this is like my personal profile. Then like on my other Chrome window, I have like all of my work stuff. So I don't mix up either. And so it's like when I'm like doing classes with the students, I'm making sure that I minimize my personal account, you know, it's away, and I've just kept my work one open, so I'm not accidentally going to get into like the wrong stuff. And I think it's really good because like if you set up your profile, it means like whenever you want to log in somewhere, even if it's on another computer, you can sign into Chrome using that account and it'll transfer all of like your history, like all the extensions, whatever it is that you're using before, so you don't need to be like, oh, I'm going to lose all my things. So I think that's a huge benefit for setting up the profiles for Chrome.
Okay, I'm just having a look. Thank you, Mel. Just having a look here. Someone wants to get in and I haven't got any indication yet. Can you see it, Maria? Can you let them in?
No, I haven't got any indication either. They've just been messaging me on Facebook.
Ask them. Oh, wait a minute. I'll just look at
I've
the
even sent them the direct link.
Okay, because I haven't. Oh, hang on. There's someone here. Yep.
Yeah.
Talk amongst yourself. Someone's just registered, so I'm just going to add them now. So is there any other questions that you wanted to ask, particularly about Omnibox? Well, I just do this, Omnibox or
just quickly with the profiles as well. The advantage of the profiles is keeping everything. Yeah, if I can just talk about the profiles, the advantage of having the profiles separated means that there's not a dominant account that will take over. So, for example, you could accidentally reply under one of your other identities, or you're trying to access a file you don't have permission for because that identity doesn't have permission. So it makes everything clear cut if you have separate profiles rather than just switching between your accounts.
Absolutely. Okay, so just having a look at Jessica's oh, there it is. Her agenda. She talked about signing into account, multiple profiles. She did a lot about examining the settings of Google Chrome. Has anyone got any questions about that aspect, searching the web with the Omnibox? That's a good point, Mel. Yeah, sometimes teachers too. I mean, you know, like when we're dealing with adult learners, and I'm doing that a lot. I mean, like students have got, yes, they've got a lot of stress trying to get things done, but you know, like the adult educators have not only got all of that, but they've got, you know, to organise the car registration, take the dog to the vet, and all that sort of thing is happening at the same time. So it's, yeah, it can get confusing. If you can't get into something, first check to see what identity you are using, because you probably haven't been given permission to get into that access, to access that file or that folder. Searching within a page, opening the new new tabs, new windows. So are there any other questions that you want us to answer or perhaps demonstrate on Google Chrome before we go on to any questions about Drive? So pop them in the chat there. So I'm just going back up the chat there. Pretty good, pretty good. Okay, well, we might go on to Drive if there's no other questions. Just having a look here. Okay, so let's have a look at that one. I'll go and open up my other page here. So in the second video, which was a little bit longer, Stephanie Howe and Abid presented really well on Google Drive. So Abid Patel is GEG leader. Oh, good, you're popping it in there. Thanks, Maria. He's a GEG leader of UK, and he is co-founder of Global GEG along with myself. Stephanie is a co-founder of Global GEG. So we do a lot of work behind the scenes, and these two teamed up and they produce this phenomenal video tutorial. So they were looking at, what's the one on the agenda there? So they were looking at, in particular, they were just having a look here. Got it there?
Yep.
Yeah, it's a bit small. I'm just having a look at mine.
Would you like me to?
So let me see. Sorry, I've got small screens here. My big Mac died and I'm not in a good place. So they did quite a lot. Stephanie and Abid did quite a lot about how to get to the Drive. They did a lot on sharing and permission settings, which was really good, and how to create a particular file or folder inside Drive, and how to upload. They always have a great healthy debate online about list view or grid view, and organising and searching. So are there any questions in there that you want us to talk about or demonstrate in Google Drive? Because this is the heart of where all of the apps sit within that Drive. It's the beauty of having any Google kind of any Google account is the collaborative aspect of that. Actually, they went into a really good discussion on My Drive, Shared Drive, and Shared with Me. So My Drive is where you keep my stuff. your own stuff. This is that you own that drive, you organize it, and you organize the folders, and all the files need to live inside a folder so you can find all of those easily. That's my drive. Then there's a new drive that perhaps your school doesn't allow. Maybe they've gone into team drives, something else. But in shared drive is a great place where another drive is added to your list of drives, and the shared drive is somewhere where people who have access to that drive can add all their files and folders. And the beauty of that is if you leave that institution, it still lives in Drive. If you add all of your work into my drive and share it out, when you leave that institution and your drive is closed and archived, no one else can access that. So shared drives is really good. However, let me say this, it does have a few little hiccups. I was working on a Google slide presentation, and it was one of Slide Mania's templates, and I thought, I can do this. I watched the video, I know how to do this. So I was working in the edit master area, and then I was having so much trouble trying to replicate some of those features that I wanted deep down in the master slide. And I even contacted Paula at Slides Mania, and I said, I can't work this out. So we tried quite a few things, and it was only until I heard another one of our co-founders saying he was having a lot of trouble working in sheets in shared drive and trying to do the formulas, and he had to move it out so the formulas and AutoCrat would work. Oh, maybe that's my problem. So there can be some little issues with shared drive. It was only because he had spoken about it the day before, that although shared drive is an amazing place to share, perhaps if you're having an issue, you may have to move that file out, work on it, and bring it back in again. Shared with me is a place where every file, folder, and anything is shared with you, and you can't organise it. I tell my teachers another word for shared with me is the abyss, because you cannot put it into folders. You just get out of there, just leave it, and when you want it to be added to your drive as a shortcut, it'll appear. It won't be moved, it'll appear in your drive, and then you can organise it and put it in places. So has anyone had any issues with my drive, shared drive, or shared with me? Just pop it in the chat now.
I know it was a really big learning curve during remote learning for myself and staff, even with Screencastify videos, etc. We have we have different year level shared drives. However, I was encouraging all staff to create in their My Drive first, and then make a copy and put that in the shared drive. And then everyone could make a copy of that if they want to manipulate it. But it just, because there are in the shared drive, there are restrictions or permissions in place. So depending on your permission is what you can do with that in the shared drive. And if you weren't in that year level for our school, you could not move or delete, etc. So
absolutely. So if there's no more questions on the My Drive, shared drive, or shared with me, we might go on to any sharing and permission levels that people may come across. When you often will say, I can't access it. I think Mel did that earlier this morning. She said, yeah, that looks good, but I can't access it. And I'd forgotten to include her in that specific file share. If you share a folder, everything in that folder will be shared. So if you have something a private nature and you've got it in that folder and you're sharing this with anybody on the web, well then they can access it. So you've got to remember that when you share the whole folder, you have to make sure that everything in that folder is something that you really want to share. So there are different levels in sharing, and depending on your organisation, you'll have specific sharing. So Sharon Cooper and I can only share a file, the rest of you can't see it, because that file is something that we're working on. And the next level is that I can share it with anyone if we were working in the same diocese or district. If I shared it with anyone in that district, no one outside in the world can find that link. And the next level goes up further and further, right to public on the web. We don't use that. We rarely use that because anyone, it's a searchable item, and anyone on the web can look for that. But I think the one below it says anyone with a link can find it, and that's where we need to use anyone with a link with parents, because they don't have a school login. So has anyone had any issues on sharing permissions that they want us to go over or demonstrate there?
We also had to be mindful of that when we use our parent portal via Google Sites, and we had to make sure anything that we had in there had the right permissions as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Uploading was another item that Stephanie and Abid worked on. When you upload a file directly from your computer, anywhere on your computer, you can, when you upload it, it'll probably upload as the original file, unless you get into the editing section of that upload and say, I want you to convert it to Google Docs every time you upload something. So that's always handy. I just upload everything and turn it into a Google Doc so I can work on it straight away.
Yeah, that is a really good point, because it also saves space, because if you leave it in the Microsoft form, it's taken up more drive space than if you convert it. Now, if you're outside of an education account, Google are changing the way that they're restricting, or they're putting limits on drive space. So it's good practice to convert it.
Absolutely. So I think, Mel, you had something good to say there. When, just be careful about viewing and editing. Viewing is, you can only see it like an image. You can't edit. And when you give someone editing rights, they will be able to change anything they need to. Sometimes they overchange things, they overdo it. But, like if you wanted to bring it back to this morning's version, you go into the file and go into version edit, the version, what is it called? File, version history. So you can see who's been doing what, and you're able to either adjust it or go back to that person and say, that was a really great idea. Can you give me that, that image, that link? And also it's a great idea when teachers give students a document to share and collaborate on. You can go back through version history and you can see which student has done more work and which student has been the passive one in the group, and then you're able to work with that student and help them contribute a bit more. So version history, if you go to File, Version History, it's a really great option. So what else was on there? Okay. Oh, list and grid view. Is everyone clear on list and grid view? So we might need to demonstrate that. Have you got yours?
Okay, I'll get my my empty drive open.
So people, Mel's got there's some problems before with people sharing. Anyone with a link can edit instead of can view. Yeah, it's just the wording. If you want it to be like a poster, a newsletter, they need to view it. If it's going to be an interactive document, they need to edit. So no other questions there. So list view and grid view, I like to work in grid view because I'm very visual. I need to see it all. But if I need to see how many megabytes, what file format that's in, I drop it into a list view. So what are we looking at there? So this is the grid view.
Oh, this is the quick access. Yeah, this is the list, so you can then see the owner when it was modified, and generally size as well. They've changed the icon up here, so that indicates the changeover of the icons, and now this is grid view.
The grid view, yes.
Which gives you a visual image.
It gives the visual image, and when you're creating a spreadsheet, I often make a title page with big print on it, so when the sheet is sitting there, I can actually see the wording on the front of it as well. But yeah, I like to use grid view. I like pictures, but then if I need the information, I have to go to list view. So are there any questions there that that video raised on uploading, share? I think sharing permissions and collaborating is the really big. Okay, Mel, thanks for coming. She's best view. Nice of you to pop in. So sharing, collaborating, permission settings, I think that's the biggest area there, organising and searching. So
can I just give a quick little tip in regards to version history? There's another little extension that I use called Draftback, and that gives me a video replay of how everything's been added. So if you look at the history, you can see that someone's contributing. However, if you look at Draftback, you can see that all of a sudden, in 1 second, all that information is there, which really shows that it's a cut and paste from somewhere.
Okay, I'm just reading it now. It's a Chrome extension that lets you play back the revision history, going back in time. Oh, that's a good tip.
Yeah, I love it. It's my little sleuth tool.
Yeah, when you're trying to support students to grow in their learning, we need all of these tips to be able to help them along.
Yeah.
So, any more questions on Google Drive? We've looked briefly at Google Chrome. You've seen the video. If there are any questions on Google Chrome, we can address them now, and the same again now with Google Drive. So if anyone has a question, pop it in the chat. Yeah, I've checked it out too, Kerry. I've got it there. It's sitting there waiting for me to check out. So just in the chat, are you very new to G Suite? I started fiddling around in G Suite, I think about 2010, and then our school went into G Suite in 2012, and so I'm still learning. I still, I wouldn't say I'm advanced. I'd say I'm intermediate because I'm still learning. There are so many things to learn, and if you're an Aussie and you wonder why Google changes everything in June, it's because the US schools, their year starts in June and goes to June to June. So often anything new, big and fantastic will come out in the middle of our year. So that's when they do major upgrades. Yeah, absolutely. I used to wonder what the heck is going on. You come back from the middle of the year holidays and Google have changed icons and wording and something else. But it's because, Google is American and they are geared to the US education system. So we get a surprise halfway through the year, but we can take it.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see if we can keep ourselves honest here after the questions there. There's no more questions on that because we're happy to demonstrate anything and work through anything there. So just before, one of the questions I'm going to ask now is, how did you find those tutorial videos? The Chrome one, Jessica presented, and Abid and Steph presented the one on Google Drive. Were they helpful? Did they answer questions that you had? Because we may do another, I'm saying that loosely, because we may do another series in a couple of months' time. There's talk of it because Jamboard came out this morning, and Keep is going to come out, I think this afternoon. So if there's no more questions there, we might go on. Let's just see on our agenda, did we stick to what we had hoped to present? We tried to keep it under 60 minutes, and we had a quick look at GEG. If you are interested to join a GEG in your local area, you might you know, like contact us, DM us on Twitter. We have, and I went through what Global GEG is. We had a dive into the Google Chrome and to Google Drive, just having a chat about some of the things that may have raised questions with you. Well, if we go to the next slide, I've got a link in there about the Google for Education Teacher Centre.
Yeah, I don't think it's on this one.
Oh, did you make a copy? Oh, okay.
I got this ready before you had changed that.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
All right, it's okay. Let's see if I can. I'll present now. See if I can present this now. It's just a small screen, and I'm having trouble. I'll try that one. See what happens. This one will do. I think we've got it here. Yeah, we're presenting. All right. So, so here I had a look here. I don't want to have any of those on there. So that's what I had. I went and had a look at our agenda to make sure that we kept on track. Now the next slide, and it's really running slow now. My little Mac, my little laptop's heating up. In the Teacher Centre, if someone drops that in the chat now, the Teacher Centre is a great place to go and learn more. So if this has whetted your appetite to learn more about each of the apps, and we've only just briefly had a look at Google Chrome and Google Drive, if you go to that link, you will come across this website, and you're able to search by product, and you can check any of those apps. You can have a look at the certificates that are available for level 1 and level 2. You can have a look at the different programs that are available, as well as going and having a look at the communities, and that's the GEG community that's available there. So we're pretty much through that area there, and I've lost track of what I'm doing over here. Look, we really appreciate your time, and we hope that those videos have been helpful for you. And we've got them on our Global GEG website. If someone can drop that into the chat, please. So if you wanted to have a look at any more resources like this, go to Global GEG website. If you wanted to go straight to the Teacher Centre, that link should be in the chat by now. We're going to run another brief. Okay, thanks. We're going to run another brief session next week, and it's going to be on Google Docs, slides, and sites, because they were fairly short, sharp, great videos. So we're going to have a look at that. If you think other people might be interested, share that registration link with them. That can go in the chat now. And please fill out the evaluation form, because we are still learning. And look, if you wanted something else, more, less, please tell us. You know, we're trying to be able to pull together these great resources. And look, honestly, in 6 months' time, some of the content that we've presented here will be out of date. So we want to be able to give you current information there. So I'm going to stop presenting there and have a look at the chat to see what else is happening there.
Thank you so much to the people helping out in the chat for us there, adding links, adding their experiences. It's really valuable for everyone. For experience things from different lenses, different locations, different settings. It's really helpful. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks so much. And Sharon, you always pop along when we're trying to do these weird and wonderful things, and we thank you for your support, our Sydney 19 buddy, and Fiona and Melissa. Fiona's from Australia and Mel is from Colombia, in that area. And look, thanks so much for coming along and giving us a helping hand. Thanks for your time, everyone, and hopefully we'll see some of you next week, but please share that registration form with your colleagues and friends. So I'm going to stop the recording now, and thank you very much.
Thanks, Ash, for turning up.